thing to sound.
This video is brought to you by Ridge Wallet.
Oh my goodness!
Oh, yeah.
I knew it was gonna be this.
And in this modern,
I knew it was gonna be this.
It's a wallet. Chill out, y'all. Shut up.
Please, you'd be shucking that shit.
I like my wallet.
I like mine too. I always did want a metal wallet though. Maybe I'll use his description code. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
a metal wallet seems dumb.
I don't see the point of it.
I can understand people going like, I want the flattest wallet possible, so it's not too huge bulge, but just like nah. I see Ridge Wallet advertised a lot, and each time I'm just like, hey, it's you know, you got your Casper, your NordVPN, the common ones, but this one I'm always just like, nah, this is 0%.
But would you put it above that mobile game?
Oh, Raid Shadow Legends? Yeah. Absolutely. Because at least it's useful, it's functional, it's something, it's tangible, as opposed to a thing that I don't need more gacha in my life.
Boy, I'm juggling 3, potentially 4, and it's just like, yeah.
Hey, have you ever heard about the Great Blue? Nope. Oh, it's awesome.
Wait a second. It was the Great Blue? Why would they call it the Great Blue?
I didn't remember that.
Me either. As a lifelong 4Kids One Piece fan, I did not remember they called it the Great Blue.
But it makes a lot more sense.
No, it doesn't.
It makes
no. How?
Because all blue sounds very weird to an English ear, especially as a kid. No. Great Blue is just like
all blue. As far as you can see, is all blue.
And then every fish from every part of the sea.
Great Blue sounds terrible. Oh no. Yeah, the voice, we got it.
it's East Blue and West Blue and all that, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, all blue would be just all the blue.
Great Blue sounds so terrible. That's some Viz crap.
Ugh.
This scene here is one of the best scenes that this arc has to offer. And I think it says a lot about me as a reader for liking it this much. It's just a bunch of people conflicting around a dinner table. It's simple, it's dramatic, and it highlights...
What does that mean? What do you mean it says a whole lot about you as a manga reader?
Why can't it just not Punch Man?
Because it's not a Punch Man scene. Why can't it just be a good scene of people sitting down and talking? Because it doesn't have to be a Punch Man scene to be a good scene.
But that's what he's saying. Usually people would go, wow, Punch Man scene. That's my favorite.
No,
but Mark is different. It says a lot about him as a reader when he's just like,
no, it doesn't. It says nothing about him.
That's
what he's saying.
Scene. He's saying that he's different from the norm.
No, he's not though.
He's definitely not. 100% not. Let's not confuse it. But what he's saying is he's different from the norm because the norm would usually go, wow, Punch Man scene, and he's going, no, not Punch Man scene, talking scene.
Does he think his audience is in category 1?
Which category is that?
The Punch Man.
Oh yeah,
come on,
absolutely,
let's go.
Absolutely, 1,000,000%.
But
that's why he had to tell people, oh, I'm a little different.
It's not to be lauded that it's a good scene with almost no action. This is nothing. Oh my goodness.
Mark doesn't think so.
Praise correctly.
I mean, isn't he? He's not.
Exactly where the differences between Sanji and his family lie. Having just arrived home from their time spent in another war effort, this is the first time we see all 4 brothers together as adults. Ichiji, Niji, Sanji, and Yanji. This scene takes 2 acts.
Okay, at this point, I'm assuming he was saying Yonji as Yanji.
A slight up in his pronunciation like that is not worthy of that edit.
No,
because he has mispronounced stuff way before.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So,
but I think he was either he did it. No, it can't be that he did it. I was about to say he's doing it as an effect to be like, this is the worst one, pay attention.
No.
But no, he just puts, the editor just puts this on screen, which means he definitely did say something else.
Yes, he absolutely did. And I can't say that it's a mispronunciation because he does it so much that I don't think... Like, he had to do a little section in the beginning of one of his videos where he was just like, gone, and like, yeah, whatever, I don't care, sort of thing.
But he couldn't do it here?
He might, you know what? He might do it in a later video. We got 2 other videos.
Oh, we got 2 other videos.
1.5 technically, but this is, I'm still just going, this is egregiously either lazy or incompetent.
Can it be both?
It absolutely can. It can.
This scene takes 2 aspects that are integral to Sanji's character and forces him to undergo difficult circumstances to remain true to himself. Firstly, by insisting that his brother finishes his food, to which his brother doesn't like to be spoken that way to by someone he sees as vastly inferior, and secondly, when the female chef is called to be reprimanded for the terrible meal she's made. Sanji not only reprimands his family for being so ungrateful and superior to their fellow man, but also eats the food that was dropped on the floor and told the chef he thought it was delicious. That's such a wonderful thing for Sanji to do, and honestly perfectly encapsulates his character's ideals in this scene. But unfortunately later, Sanji finds the chef beaten to within an inch of her life, with them citing that she had to know her place after Sanji stood up for her. This scene was spectacular, highlighting exactly what I love about Sanji, giving me more reasons to despise his brothers and father, while also highlighting what exactly he did as a child too through flashbacks. These 4 young brothers were intended on being born special, with Sanji being the clear runt of the group, falling behind in almost every task and challenge asked of him, and showing interest in things they see as beneath them, leading to his father demanding that he be locked away in a cell beneath his property, wearing a helmet. These horrific acts of torture led Sanji, with the help of his sister, to run away from this tormented life, and it's honestly harrowing to read through. Visually, these scenes communicate so much to us also. Everything about Sanji is different from his brothers. From his expression, the clothes he wears, and even how his hair is understated like his mother's, when the rest have extravagant stylings to exude their greater-than-thou personalities. Sanji is so different to his family, even his eyebrows curl in the opposite direction. And what's more is that now Zeph's very...
She also just has sort of hair.
Maybe it's only meant for the brothers.
No, but still, Yonji or Yonji. It's just sort of styled up in a little bit of a point. That's it.
Are you saying Mark is wrong?
I'm saying that Mark is reaching in order to create some sort of symbolism.
Being threatened if he doesn't go through with this wedding also. He is trapped in a horrible set of circumstances that keep mounting higher and higher against him. By the time this scene ends, with how these Vinsmokes are threatening Sanji's only father figure, with how they abused Sanji as a child, and with how they left that poor chef beaten in a bloodied heap on the floor, I now desire Sanji or Luffy or both to bring balance to this world again, to take out the tyrants that tore him down for who he was, and to reunite with the family that he loves for those same reasons. Stakes have never been higher for Sanji. He is faced with a massive conflict in his mind, and now another conflict comes running over the hill that he wasn't expecting to have to deal with in the second section of this video, damage and conflict.
Okay. What does he believe a review is?
Isn't this just his blind impressions, though?
That's not what it's named.
Is it not named?
No. Blind review. 100% blind review.
Okay, yeah, it is. I thought it was impressions.
Impressions would actually make a lot more sense, and would give me a lot less reasons to be mad at it.
Yeah, it's very odd. What does he think it is? Because it's basically just what he wants to talk about. Because we saw that quite clearly in the Chimera Ant video, where he just goes, plot device and character development person, where they were very integral to the entirety of the story.
It's like 78% synopsis, 20% what I thought and or theories or stuff.
It's not even a complete synopsis. It's just the stuff again that he just wants to talk about.
And then 2% like jokes.
Oh, Mark.
俺も行くよ。付き合おうじゃねえか。海賊王への道。いいのか悪いのか。
いいさ。やったー。
In this section, we explore all the setup with each character respectively and watch as they clash and conflict through either misunderstanding or tragedy. The first coming in the form of this initially charming interaction. And I love Luffy. He's one of the most well-realized characters I've ever had the pleasure of watching traverse a world.
I'm starting to hate well realized.
No, dude! No! We're gonna have so few words by the time we're done with this channel.
I hate... Okay, when I say I hate these words, I hate the usage of these words. Mm-hmm. Luffy is one of the most well-realized characters. What do you mean by that statement? Are you looking up well-realized?
Yes. To understand or become aware of. To cause, to become real, to achieve.
So Luffy's one of the most real characters he's ever seen?
Oh, buzzword, Mark, you gotta stop this. When will it end?
Never. What? He's not getting called out. Why would anybody?
Luffy is one of the most well-realized characters I've ever had the pleasure of pause.
I'm just really tired of the usage of words.
Realized characters I've ever had the pleasure of watching traverse a world. Every scene he participates in serves to inform us of his character. He never wants to be disrespectful or to treat anyone in any mean-spirited way intentionally. His default is to always treat others as he would like to be treated. Overly friendly and enthusiastic, eager to gain friendship. And so, despite having been on the receiving
I think he's reading way too much into that. Luffy's just Luffy.
And again, look at somebody like in Naruto. Based upon what you said about treating others how he wanted to be treated, how is that any different from Naruto?
How's it any different than Goku?
Legit. He shakes the hand of the leader of the leaders of the leaders of the gods of the world. Just completely informally. How is that any different from Goku based upon what you said? Like, what?
How's it any different than Deku? Like, how is it any different than just what you said?
Just what he said, right here. He's one of the most well-realized characters. He likes to treat other people the way default is respect and all this crap. How is that different from a lot of shonen protags?
Despite having been on the receiving end of an army of cracker men, his face lights up when he finally sees Sanji again, leaping onto his family's carriage, much to the surprise and chagrin of Sanji and his family. And this was where I realized what was going to happen. Luffy doesn't know everything that Sanji has to lose if he doesn't go through with this wedding, and thus...
帰れ。下級海賊ども。
This is a heartbreaking scene simply because of the characters participating within it. Firstly, I think it's safe to say that there's a tremendous connection we all felt towards these characters, and that's thanks to the fantastic...
There's a tremendous connection we all felt? I ain't feel no connection. I like them.
I could see...
Yes, I can see so many things these people say. I understand it. I absorb the information and dissect it in my body and get a greater understanding of what they mean.
That means
but
right.
I don't feel that way. I don't connect to Luffy and Sanji.
No, there's aspects of things that I connect to them, their personalities,
Sure.
what they like, things like that. But as a whole, it's just like you connect. It's like, not really.
What did he say specifically about the connection here?
Firstly, I think it's safe to say that there's a tremendous connection we all felt towards these characters, and that's thanks to the fantastically and phenomenally well-placed character writing in general in this series. But
okay, a connection to the characters because of the character. Then, isn't that every character?
Yeah, so long as a series has good writing, you should feel connected based upon what you just said again.
what's more is that these harsh words Sanji spouts at and towards Luffy made me reflect on this series with two characters that have been on this journey for well over 750 chapters. And watching...
I didn't realize that their color schemes right there in the end are basically the same.
Oh yeah, you're right. That's cool. Oh yeah,
Even
Sanji's
with the
little
hat
yellow.
and yeah, that's... Wonder if that was intentional. Couldn't have been.
Oda?
Couldn't have been.
Oda?
Nah, couldn't have been.
on this journey for well over 750...
Oh, Nami's in it too. Oh. Maybe that's just the color scheme of the island. Maybe it's just like when you get new clothes.
Two's a coincidence. Three's a pattern.
chapters. And watching them fight here in this wasn't easy to watch at all.
Oh wow! So Sanji has black pants, Luffy has black hair. Sanji has blonde hair, so Luffy has a yellow sash.
Now hold on a second. Now wait a darn second. Come on now. Wait. It's maybe a coincidence.
Maybe. I'm going, dog. That mother.
Oh, wait a second. Does
Oda's a monster. That's what I'm going.
Okay, to see if
I don't even know why you looking. Oda's a monster.
her climb attack is yellow. Yep, there's black as well. Yeah. And she's got some yellow wristbands. All right.
The fight here in this wasn't easy to watch at all. Sanji landed attack after attack, essentially trying to ensure the lives of his friends by doing...
How do people read and consume media? Like, every time Luffy gets hit, do they wince? Like, ooh, that's so uncomfortable. Like, when you see a sports injury, you go, ooh.
Or you see somebody get hit in the nuts.
Yeah. Is that what that... It's just like, ooh, ah.
Some people have certain, like, you know, some people have, like, eye things where they're like, I can't watch people get hit in the eyes. I can't watch people get hit in the nose.
Oh, yeah, we got a fan like that. They were like, every time the Dead Space thing where Isaac just... no.
Yeah, it's eye trauma. Some people are just like that. You know, some people are just like, don't touch your eyes. It's gross.
Yeah, I understand that. But when you're reading something, like, he's saying that this is uncomfortable because Sanji's just destroying Luffy and Luffy's just sitting there taking it. And you know how sad it is for everybody. So you're just like, ugh.
I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't say... Because it's not like Luffy's getting really hurt, because we know that Luffy can take a whole lot more than that. Mm-hmm. And we know because Sanji and all the stuff that he's going through, that he's doing it begrudgingly. So he's not going to be hitting him with 100% of full force. And even if he is, Luffy's still very durable and also rubber, so he can take a whole lot more. I'd say something like the Hunter x Hunter scene where the little black dreadlock chick started beating up on Gon, and then by the end his face was all puffy and
yeah. That's
where I'd be like, ooh, it's kind of wincy because you're getting hit with a stick. You know what a stick feels like. You don't know what a kick from Sanji would feel like, because I don't. Again, more flowery, puffing up this sort of thing language.
Yeah, I'm just wondering because you see so many creators just like, oh, it's so uncomfortable and all this other stuff. And I don't think I've ever felt discomfort because, like, two friends are fighting. Like, if it's a horror manga and there's some really, like, stuff like that, maybe. But, like, just sitting there watching Sanji kick Luffy, I was like, oh, no.
What might be the hardest things he's ever had to do in his life. Knocking out his own captain and best friend, betraying them, and returning to his carriage after blustering towards them a number of lies. And as the carriage rolls away, Sanji just breaks down, unable to stop the stream of tears cascading down his face. This chapter, 844, is the best chapter of One Piece I've read through since Luffy versus Usopp, and I'm not saying that lightly. Luffy's refusing to fight, Sanji's insistence on pushing his friends away for their own protection, and all of the conflicting, interesting motivations at play here, while the Vinsmokes watch from afar, make for an intensely interesting set of circumstances that had me glued to
Usopp versus Luffy. So we're going all the way through CP9. We're going all the way through Thriller Bark.
I don't even care about that. Interestingly entertaining, or what did he say?
All I got was glued to my seat.
His insistence on pushing his friends away for their own protection, and all of the conflicting, interesting motivations at play here, while the Vinsmokes watch.
Conflicting, interesting motivations.
All of them.
Interesting means so very little, because interesting just means it's of interest to you, not the audience as a whole. Because somebody could not be interested in that because they don't like Sanji.
I mean, all of the conflicting, interesting motivations. Luffy's motivation is, I want to get Sanji back.
So is Nami's.
That's not particularly interesting baseline, just that. It's
Or
all the stuff
conflicting.
around it that makes it interesting. But Sanji's is, but he said the word all, which is...
As far as chapters
words
go,
have meanings.
As far as chapters go, there is no, in my mind, chapter I would go, that's a chapter of note, except in Odin in the Pot. It is everything you need in One Piece. It is encapsulated in 16 pages. You got setup, you got the thing that's happening, you got evil bastards, you got awesome cool moments, you got explanations. It is the single most. This is One Piece chapter in history.
I would say the end of Pink and Frankie.
That was great.
I would put that up there. Well, not this 195 sort of situation. I would put that up there, but I'm just like, nothing since then.
Luffy bound his head to Boa. I think that was great.
Yeah. I still have my crew.
That was great.
Ace's death. The whole Marineford struggle. The Straw Hats coming back together.
Luffy versus Blackbeard.
Luffy versus Doffy.
I think there are notable ones, but it's just, it's his opinion. It's what he liked, which is cool.
From afar, make for an intensely interesting set of circumstances that had me glued to every...
It's an intensely interesting set of circumstances.
Too interesting.
Even though he just used interesting.
Yeah, it's a very interesting word to use, interesting. You can just flavor that with everywhere. Just use it. It's great.
Page.
ふざけんな俺のこと蹴るだけ蹴っても痛えのはお前だろ
Get us claimed. You wonder why you getting claimed, homie? Come on now. Why almost getting claimed? I don't know. Could you have a full episode in this bit?
Looking at the Usopp and Luffy section where they were brutally honest with one another, they have this scene here that is held together by Sanji being brutally dishonest for the sake of his captain and friends. It's a masterpiece, and I absolutely adore it.
A masterpiece! Can we stop devaluing words? Not everything can be genius. Not everything can be a masterpiece. Can we please stop devaluing these words?
It's a lot easier to convey what
It's
he means.
always easier.
Just to convey what
Does
he means
that
by
make
saying
it
masterpiece. No, it does not, as a matter of fact. But that's just another thing that makes Marx quite bad. He takes the easy way out of just going, it's a masterpiece.
But I feel like
he
everybody
sort of
does
explained
that.
why, because of the motivations and stuff like that. But
But you can say that for other things. What's the difference between this and Usopp and Luffy? Is Usopp Luffy a masterpiece? And can it only be those things? Is I still have my crew a masterpiece?
Is it just the motivations and the conflicting and the lying that make it a masterpiece? What about this makes it a masterpiece vis-a-vis something like Dofi's backstory or something?
Or is it all just masterpiece? Is it different thing that masterpiece? I want words to mean something.
They do. It's just all about how we use them. It's not just the words, it's the words around the words.
I have seen the word compelling.
Not enough.
So many times. And it's just like, that tells me nothing.
That's a compelling point that you just made.
What did you mean by that?
What? Well, here, watch this video.
Oh, Jesus.
Stop with
and
that.
if that wasn't enough, Luffy declares as Sanji rides off to his gathering with Big Mom, he won't eat any food unless it's prepared by him, and he won't move from this spot until he comes back. Meanwhile, an army of Big Mom's forces begin riding across the hills.
Look at her! Look, there she is! Did you see her? Did you see her? Go back! She was there. Look at her. You can see her hat. It's poking in through the side, to the left side. Do you see her? Do you see her Monday? The Mademoiselle? Do you see her in her hat?
You are incredible.
Dude, so, I don't know if I told you this. I probably did. It was one of the SBS things. You know how in Fanbei is the king of the little sisters? Second place, big sister, Amade. They know. They know.
Who is they?
Oda said it in SBS. There's a voting and she's second place, big sister. They know. In Amade. Get on her.
Okay. See, this is what I mean by people. You can like whatever you like. It ain't gotta be no logic to this. She got a big hat. That's his.
She's got a great design as well, and I like her personality and her moveset. She's got slow walks. That's a great move name.
And
she's great.
And
she's got a great design
and
a big hat
and a big hat
and a big hat.
Like what you like. There's no need for logic in this. But once you start explaining, it starts to fall apart.
Luffy is scared. Luffy is exhausted. What a story. Now, the rest of this section has some really interesting, cute interactions between Sanji.
Well, what? Do you have an interesting point that you need to make real quick?
No.
No?
No.
That's an interesting response you just gave.
I don't know what to do. This is poop.
Yes, it's really bad.
Inputting some deeply upsetting ones between Nami and a broken Luffy as he's dragged off into a cell, and a great collection of scenes dealing with Pedro and Brook as they move about the island of Whole Cake, being the only ones left from the original party not having been found yet. I don't really have much to say about this B-plot other than that it serves its purpose relatively well.
Unbelievable.
You can't skip over the fact that Brook is the first muff in Straw Hat to damage a Yonko. To stand up to her face to face. No fear. Basically talking to her like she's an equal. You can't skip over that. You can't skip over Brook waltzing up in there like, boy, these are a lot of souls up in here, huh? And just putting in work like Muff and Brook has never done before.
He put, as far as outside of the Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, I don't think a Straw Hat has put in work like this ever.
In this arc, Brook is a MVP.
Not the
It's
MVP.
crazy. You don't have anything to say as you show this fantastic Soul King moment. Editor does. But unbelievable that you have Wacky Brook. Come on,
it serves its purpose. I don't have much to say about B plot except it serves its purpose. You know why? No emotion, no connection. Just amazing Brook, and you're skipping over it.
Amazing Big Mom stuff, showing her whole collection happily to the German. Just like, look at all these books. Look at this weird giraffe.
I don't know what it is. I got it.
That's Big Mom.
Hey, I need you, Baron Bone. I need you.
She's just so happy to show off her dumb collection. That's great stuff. Brook, this is
very good stuff.
the only thing standing between Brook and Poneglyph is Big Mom, and he does not back down from a Yonko. Calls her a young lady.
Young lady who plans on dying.
Come on, dude, you can't.
I think I just did. This is what y'all wanted.
To say about this B-plot other than that it serves its purpose relatively well in splitting up the action and informing us of the whereabouts of the certain key characters and where their hearts lie. Another B-plot that I thought was
Just gone.
Look at her drawing.
Look at it. It's so good.
I can draw well. I'll show it. There's just this Bijou fit. It's terrible. Horrible copy pasted face. Bull. Oh my. Why are they all looking over to the right? Oh, she's terrible. This is the stuff that I want on the crew. I don't care about fighting, yo. Give me this. Because in One Piece, there's such little fighting when you're in the arc. Most of it is learning about the island and character stuff. So I want characters before I want action.
Characters inform the action. It makes it better.
Just give me carrot, yo.
Just give it. It's the easiest thing. Hey, she got Sanji's eyebrow correctly.
Yeah, she got the eyebrow. She got the scar correct. Brook, I don't know what's going on there, but she, God help her, she's trying. That Marge in Afro. Why did she give her mentor like blushing cheeks?
You would think of
Pedro.
all people, she would have the most practice drawing him.
that of Chopper and Carrot, the two furry mascots of One Piece get to enjoy their own little story in this mirror world as they escape the forces of Brûlé, reprimand her, and use that dimension to their advantage in a really creative way of popping to and from different mirrors all across the island. And since they already have their hands on Brûlé now, it's sort of like a wormhole to anywhere they want to go on the island. In retrospect, that was a bad hostage for them to gain control of for Big Mom. However, all of that B-plot comedy aside, we are still faced with the grim reality having befallen Luffy and Nami. But thankfully, Pudding is here, and perhaps she can alleviate some pressures.
Nami, you rip off your hand too. The most serious. Luffy, Nami, you rip off your hands too.
That's just the plan. We're just gonna rip off our arms and then leave.
It's simple. Come on. What are you waiting for? Why aren't you doing it?
From them with some reassuring words. The way this Pudding character is utilized in the story is honestly really well done. Now, I was never 100% convinced she was as amazing as she seems to have been, but whenever it comes to any interaction we see her participate in, she never seems to miss a beat. She comes across as natural and kind, which, as I've mentioned, threw myself as a reader off balance quite a few times while
What was that word vomit? Which I mentioned quite a few times as myself, as a reader. kept off balance by... What was that word? Vomit!
Her participate in, she never seems to miss a beat. She comes across as natural and kind, which, as I've mentioned, threw myself as a reader off balance quite a few times while I was reading.
What the fuck is this?
Threw myself as a reader off balance.
That I've read several...
Sure.
Dude.
Sure.
As natural and kind, which, as I've mentioned, threw myself as a reader off balance quite a few times while I was reading through this part of the story. And it's that very aspect of her character that made her so compelling in this scene with Luffy.
Make words matter. Make words great again. Mwaga.
Luffy is deflated and miserable, but after hearing what Pudding whispered into his ear, he suddenly became filled with purpose, preparing to rip his arms from the wall. What did she say to him? Again, looking back now on what I know, it's clear what she said, but in the moment, given everything she's contributed to this part of the story, it was still sort of a coin toss as to whether or not she's motivating Luffy in a positive way or a negative one. Point being, it wasn't obvious, which made this pivotal scene following it with
He offered no evidence to believe that it might be a negative thing. Other
Except
than he just had
his own feelings.
He just had his own suspicions.
Sanji, all the more fascinating, shocking, and heartbreakingly tragic. In this arc, this story with Sanji that's being explained to us, shown to us, and that we've experienced firsthand, reads like a tragedy. Sanji simply wants something.
Is that why you just called it heartbreakingly tragic?
It's fine.
He sucks.
That's being explained to us, shown to us, and that we've experienced firsthand, reads like a tragedy. Sanji simply wants something that's reasonable, companionship and freedom, but through a gauntlet of vicious and merciless circumstances, he is essentially held prisoner by his family, and not to mention the forces of Big Mom. With his father figure Zeph being threatened with his life, his hands primed to be blown to smithereens, and the attacking of his very own captain Luffy. Sanji is very much a man lost in a turbulent sea of tragic circumstance, but he does have a lifesaver, a light in this dark situation, and that's Pudding. Someone who has shown genuine affection for him, and honestly the only person who's even shown him a minutia of sympathy and empathy throughout this entire ordeal. And so, Sanji, having accepted his situation as unavoidable and uncompromising, he accepts his current predicament and walks to Pudding's room with a freshly made array of foods prepared specifically for her to share with. But at the door, he stopped from entering her chambers, with the door itself citing that.
Does he mention the fact that that's all the Straw Hat's favorite foods?
No. Maybe when Luffy's eating it. Maybe he'll go, as he consumes all the Straw Hat's favorite food. Because maybe even the anime flashback as he was eating to what the person was eating or who liked it or whatever.
They didn't.
Okay. Maybe when Luffy's eating it. Ain't no time right now. Sad stuff. Gotta...
It's plenty of time.
So much compelling
throw that
and
in there
because
it's important because it happens right here.
Compelling.
And he even called it out just like, oh crap, I made a whole bunch of compelling.
Interesting.
Itself citing that she's otherwise preoccupied right now. And as a quick aside, something I thought that was worth mentioning for the sake of me being intellectually consistent with the Sanji character, when faced with this blockade at the door, he elects to try to climb through her window in a romantic fashion. Obviously, this gesture and the setting is very Shakespearean and romantic, but what I personally found rather nice about Sanji in this moment...
Did he not just use romantic twice in 2 sentences?
It doesn't matter. Nothing matters.
It should matter!
A lot of things should matter, and a lot of things don't
this
matter.
is one of them.
But what I personally found rather nice about Sanji in this moment was his consideration for the consequences of him climbing up in to see her, specifically citing in a particular panel that it could be construed as peeping, and therefore that would be a reason not to do it. Now eventually he does reconcile this with the fact that she's his fiancée and that they will soon be husband and wife, but it's really nice to see Sanji consider those as factors that would prevent him from doing it. It puts him into a much more reasonable and kinder light than that which was on display during Thriller Bark, and I'm honestly thrilled about that fact. But what makes this scene all the more effective in the manga is how at regular intervals throughout Sanji making his way to the window of pudding, spliced in are shots of Luffy attempting to rip off his arms in an effort to get free. He knows something that we don't. Motivated by Pudding's last words to him, coupled with Sanji making his way slowly to her window, make for an incredibly tense build-up to the ultimate reveal of this arc thus far.
夢見てんじゃないわよ。あのチンピラと私が
That
結
is so
婚。
great.
The power behind this scene for me never came from the reveal itself because, as I mentioned, it was sort of difficult not to see something big coming from Pudding, and this sort of fits that narrative perfectly. The power for this scene in
Something big is coming for Pudding, and this fits the narrative perfectly. That narrative of something big coming from Pudding. Yes, of course there is. Even if she was just still good guy and helped them escape.
It would still fit the narrative. And it works either way. It's either she's the one shining light in this whole family of complete and total monsters, or she's just another complete and total monster like all of her family, and it's a nature versus nurture thing, blah, blah, blah.
Dead came from
It's
Sanji's
interesting either
reaction
way.
to this news. As Pudding describes her insidious plan to kill Sanji and the rest of his family before they marry, we are met with shot after shot after shot of Sanji as he tries to put on the brave face he has for this entire ordeal before crumbling and breaking down as Pudding's voice echoes in the background, continuing to ridicule him to his sister for how he proposed to her, reinforcing the same sort of bullying that he endured from his brothers. His one and only salvation during this horrible circumstance betrays his good nature like so many have already taken advantage of in the past, calling him a failure, a pathetic excuse for a groom, and not a proper prince.
Boy, she must have been screaming.
A lot of rain.
There's a lot of rain and the windows closed. She must have been screaming this.
This scene made me tear up like few other stories from One Piece have done in the past. It's an extremely relatable situation to overhear something you weren't meant to hear about yourself, made all the more effective by the gloomy weather making even lighting his cigarette all the more difficult. Much like everything else.
And extremely relatable. Hearing something that you weren't supposed to hear.
I'd rather hear it.
Yeah, really. But I was just
Hey, that's how
going-
you feel? I bet you.
There's a whole lot of other relatable things in One Piece. Not being wanted like Chopper. Not fitting in anywhere between humans nor reindeer. What about that?
Someone wanting attention in Usopp.
There's so many relatable things. Speaking of the rain, did you read the My Hero chapter?
Oh yeah, One Piece and My Hero came out today. Nope. Oh yeah, break for One Piece. No, I didn't. You can tell me. I don't care. Oh, it's spoilers for the video though. So we'll talk about it afterwards.
This is.
Oh no.
I am so tired.
Oh no.
It's just in my conversation academia.
Oh no. Is it good conversation?
It's All Might and Stain. It's not good. It's an entire chapter of it. And I do not care for it.
What could even be the You know what? I'm going to have to read it. Yeah, I'm probably going to cut this part out.
Right now, he has lost control. He can't even light his cigarette. I love this scene. With it, we now understand Sanji, Luffy, and Pudding, as well as her powers, which are ridiculously powerful. She has the ability to edit memories, essentially. Which, again, like the sugar power from Dressrosa, these mind-altering abilities have the potential to be incredibly powerful if used correctly.
How could they be used incorrectly?
He used powerful twice! In 3 sentences!
What
He
way
sucks!
can they be weak?
He sucks!
It's powerful.
Why is
if
he
used correctly.
popular?
What is incorrectly used?
This
in this
hype
power?
monster bullcrap of just going, look how amazing this is when I'm just saying the same sentence. He's remixing his sentences. He's giving you the same sentence turned around.
DJ Khaled on the track.
What is this? How are people clapping for this? It's so interesting the way that this was done. The way that this was done was quite interesting. Same sentence. Same. Pudding's ability can be powerful, and it informs you how powerful it could be if used correctly. Same sentence!
Different sentences.
Different is that they're not the exact same sentence?
Yeah.
This is in book report.
That needs to be stretched out. I ain't got near enough words.
You got your opening and ending of the paragraph, and it's the same sentence turned around. Clap for you. B+.
Memories, essentially. Which, again, like the sugar power...
I want to hear the power.
I love this scene. With it, we now understand Sanji, Luffy, and Pudding, as well as her powers, which are ridiculously powerful. She has the ability to edit memories, essentially. Which, again, like the sugar power from Dressrosa, these mind-altering abilities have the potential to be incredibly powerful if used correctly. So, I'm interested to see how her powers play out in the rest of the story when I do eventually get to it. This is the turning point of the story. This instance where for the first time in a long time, the pendulum of fortune swings in the favor of the Straw Hats. And after being at such a depth of despair just moments prior, the sudden and surprising revelation of Jinbe was so welcome, let me tell you. So much so, I jumped out of my chair and was like, hell yeah! It's at...
He just rocks up.
Oh, Jinbe!
And you cheer.
And you jumped up and you cheered.
A bright spot for this dude just rocking up and helping.
At this point of salvation, Jinbe saves Luffy, and on his way to find Sanji in order to ward him too, Reiju lets Luffy know that Sanji is up to speed and knows everything. With that, Luffy relaxes before leaping out of what looks like to be a very high window. Did I mention I love Luffy? I just love stuff like that. It's just so fun. I mean, after all, he did promise he would wait in a specific spot, but in saying that, at this moment in time, Luffy isn't feeling great. He's starving and immensely fatigued, as he also promised he wouldn't eat anything unless it's made by Sanji. In addition to that, I haven't touched on this that much in this review because I wanted to focus on the main plot thread specifically, but now seems like a good time to...
Why? It's you're reviewing the story. Why are you
just sequentially or just whatever you want to talk about whenever you want to talk about it?
Touch on the B-plot of this arc quickly concerning Brook and Pedro. Having decided to split up to try to get their hands on the Poneglyph Prince, Pedro finds himself squaring off against Tamago. In this fight, we gain new insight into the last time Pedro came to Whole Cake Island with his partner. At this time, he and his partner were sentenced to 100 years. However, this means something significantly different when it comes to Big Mom, as I'm sure all of you are now aware of. His partner had 30 years of his remaining lifespan sucked from him, causing him to die, leaving 70 remaining for Pedro to square off. He comes during this time, begs Big Mom to spare him, and shaves off another 10 years, leaving 60 remaining. In a final, last-ditch effort, Pedro rips out his eye from the socket and offers it up to Big Mom as partial payment. Big Mom admires his efforts and shaves off an additional 10 years before sucking Pedro of 50 years of his life. The conclusion to this tale? Flashing forward to the present day, Pedro doesn't intend on leaving this island alive. He doesn't have much longer to live anyway, but he doesn't intend on dying in this fight. This quick little flashback did a lot for me in the way of getting Pedro over as a really intense and cool character. It's
Of course it would. Is he a wrestling fan?
I don't think
Or is
so.
the wrestling vernacular just going into the populist lexicon?
I don't think I've ever really heard him speaking on wrestling.
Because getting over is pure wrestling term.
also at this point in the story, Brook, much like Pedro, is faced with a difficult decision and elects to challenge Big Mom head on. Which is one of the most ballsy decisions made in this series, considering how powerful we understand an Emperor of the Sea to actually be. And in addition to that...
Wow, that was it? That was all we got for Brook?
Challenging a Yonko.
Chopper and Carrot rejoined the main
At least he mentioned it, I guess. That's something.
Oh, and Brook was there too.
Story. Using this new power of mirror dimension wormholes, they locate and regroup with Nami as well as Pedro and Jinbe. However, there's one small problem. I thought this scene was honestly really funny and pretty character rich for...
as opposed to falsely really funny.
Just about
as opposed to lying really funny.
Honestly, really funny. Oh, all the other stuff that I said wasn't funny, but this is honestly funny. Come on now.
Big Mom respectively. There's not really much to say about it other than that it was a very funny scene, and I will talk more about Brook towards the end of this video. Right now, I want to talk about a scene that I think is a...
Oh, this video, not this series. Okay.
To talk about a scene that I think is a contender for being one of the best scenes in the entire series for me. At this pivotal point in the narrative, we understand that Luffy has struggled to get back to where he has said he would be waiting for Sanji before collapsing. We also know that Sanji is en route to this location to find Luffy also, but as Sanji arrives in the area, Luffy is exceptionally difficult to locate against the bodies layering the streets. It's clear that a massive struggle took place here for Luffy to maintain this position, and that's when I was greeted by one of the most striking panels of this arc. This is a point
one of the most, one of the most, one of the biggest, one of the most, one of the most. Oh my goodness.
There's a point during this chaotic story where everything falls quiet. As two best
you like the little rain in the background for ambiance that he added?
Sure.
This is a point during this chaotic story where everything falls quiet.
Doing what they can.
As two best friends try to reconnect and understand each other better. But moreover, this is a scene that once again proves to us why Luffy is the best fit for a captain in One Piece, and why he is their friend first and foremost. Willing to take himself to the cusp of death in order to bring Sanji back to the light and to convince him to accept their help. Dotted throughout this scene are callbacks to significant moments from this arc. Some I haven't even mentioned yet, like a specific flashback concerning Sanji's mother and her desire to rebel against her abusive husband. Wanting to not birth monsters, she did everything in her power to prevent it, and Sanji eventually ended up not being like them. And now that we have a causal factor instead of pure happenstance...
You like the rain? You like that rain down your face? You like it? You.
Let your analysis stand on your words, not in sound effects in the background.
Yeah, but the rain is very heavy. Heavy is the rain.
Regarding Sanji's difference between himself and his brothers, it makes for a much more powerful scene with Luffy. Specifically, during this instance, he offers this poor-looking food. A clear and intentional comparison between him and his mother when Sanji as a child prepared her food while she was ill. What's more is that Luffy in this instance humbles himself greatly. He drags himself through hell and back, takes undeserved punishment from Sanji, and still unfettered in his resolve, loves him and wants to help him in any way he possibly can. However, for Sanji,
all this time is not. We've seen.
I'm starting to get mad at the rain.
It's really bad, but we see it as not in Luffy's character to hold grudges like that. So why are you celebrating something that is not out of character for Luffy to do? Why would he be like, "Oh, you pieces, you kicked me"?
Oh, I hope you ain't think I was helping you. It's time for payback.
Yo, this food is actually trash. Like what? Of course, Luffy's gonna do that.
aren't so clear cut, and it's here Luffy
things aren't so beautiful now.
Three things keeping Sanji subservient to Big Mom. Number 1, he struck his captain as hard as he could, which he views as unforgivable. 2, his father figure Zeph in the East Blue is at life-ending risk if Sanji doesn't go through with this. And 3, he doesn't want his family to die, no matter how horrible most of them really are. And to that, Luffy has to say this. Luffy refuses to take that and demands of Sanji to speak honestly about what he wants and how he really feels. With that, Sanji's suave and cool demeanor once again crumbles, wishing that he could go back to the Sunny, but also
there's plenty of time. 40 seconds.
Already knew this was what he wanted, because he knows the sort of person Sanji is. He's lived with him, he loves him, declaring that you've got us. Let's go crash this wedding. This scene was phenomenally good, captivating, heartfelt, and passionately.
Phenomenally good?
Yeah, sure.
To be perfectly honest, the entire arc so far has hit its mark and in many cases exceeded the mark. Major plot points clashing like that one I just spoke of already create this engaging, tear-jerking occasion, but
holy his buzzwords are tremendous.
Yep.
I wonder if people actually watch like Roger and Ebert. and consume the way they review things. And if they realize that what they're doing is so like watered down, you're not reviewing anything. You're talking about what happened, a little bit about what you felt, and then throwing a bunch of buzzwords into it. As opposed to going, when this happened, if it was like this and blah, blah, blah. The synopsis should be way lessened, so what you think and what you're reviewing is way more. But it's synopsis is the vast majority of what this is.
It just is to me. He's just saying stuff that factually happened. Yes, Luffy is happy. Yes, Luffy did say that. Yes, Luffy did forgive. Yes, these things did. Yes, Sanji was sad. Yep, I know. And I know the reasons why he was sad. I don't need you to explain to me what the reasons were. I understood it. That's why I don't like these types of videos.
Things like remarking that Sanji is a pathetic prince when way back in Alabasta, Sanji referred to himself quite casually as Mr. Prince. Subtly small stuff like that I find incredibly moving and serve to create characters like Sanji who have an emotionally rich core, perfect for exploring an
This mother just said an emotionally rich core.
Yep. Whatever that means.
Whatever that means.
Hey, whatever that means to you, audience.
Guess you right.
written arcs like this one. Certainly, for me, this is the most emotionally resonant arc in the post-time skip material so far, and I think at this point is my favorite from that section also. It's impossibly good. Ending this section with all the Straw Hat forces reconvening, only to reveal that despite being cornered and captured, Brook still swiped all of the poneglyph prints from Big Mom's possession. I laughed out loud reading that, and what's more, it again serves to point out that this arc is just tremendous fun. There's so much to enjoy in this, and I honestly cannot wait to jump back into it again next week.
Cannot wait!
How they're going to get out of this, how Sanji will escape, and how they're going to overcome this wedding. But that'll do it for this video. As always, I've been Totally Not Mark. I'll see you all next week when we take on an Emperor of the Sea, and thank you so much for watching.
Wow, really? That was it?
Yep.
Okay.
That's the coming of Katakuri.
This is gonna suck massive donk.
Big dongs. Throbbing, veiny.
I mean, we could do a little bit more of the next one.
That's up to you.
Yeah, why not? We're only an hour in. Who cares? The more we get out of the way, the better. I did download it. Cool.
It was sponsored by Ridgeway.
Of course it is, sir. Why wouldn't it be?
In case you're hopping in on part 2 and didn't watch part 1, it's still sponsored by Ridge Wallets. Like, what's the point of a part 2 being sponsored by the same people
but
as
it's not part
1?
2. This is the 20th part of his One Piece blind review. It's a whole new video,
but it's
sir.
also part 2 of Whole Cake Island.
Hitting play.
Sponsored by Ridgewallet. I've just finished
Big news, Morgans!
reading Whole Cake Island, and boy do I have a lot of thoughts to voice about this wild and wonderful tale that has pushed Sanji up a few rungs in my favorite Straw Hats list. Last week I covered the beginning of this arc, but this week I will be looking at everything else as well as assessing the arc's overall presentation and story as a whole. I'm gonna be honest, I haven't slept in about 3 days thanks to this little guy, but I'll be damned if anything stops me from reviewing One Piece. Today I want to try and explain my thoughts concerning Whole Cake Island as a whole, discussing this impressive and complex story One Piece has taken me on, from its visuals to its dialogue to its story structure. I'm Totally Not Mark, and these are my first impressions of, thoughts on, and review for the scary, the chaotic, and the satisfying Whole Cake Island.
Satisfying.
So, Whole Cake Island is pretty long and great. It's almost 80 chapters in length and spans...
So what did he do this time? 44? Why did he do more?
Why indeed? You know what? Let's take a look at what chapter 902 is.
And then, what's this? So 32 originally would have been chapter 890. So I want to see what chapter 890 was. Maybe he just read more because he wasn't sleeping because of the dog.
It is everything.
Oh, what?
They sailing away.
I guess there's a little bit after the fact.
Yeah, I think somebody said that part 3 is a little bit of his stuff that he forgot, misconceptions, stuff like that.
Okay, so we'll probably only need to get the first part of part 3.
Let's see how long he talks about Whole Cake in part 3.
Chapter 890 was Big Mom on the ship. That would have been a tremendous place to stop.
Don't come after us, Lucas Films. Yeah, it's about 12 minutes that he talks about it. That he talks about Whole Cake in the next video.
Okay, so we've got about 36 minutes left. Oh yeah, that's easy stuff. That's easy stuff. We're good.
9 volumes of my now comically large collection of One Piece manga. And over the course of the last, wow, it's been almost 5 months, I've been in what I think to be a unique position where my job allowed me to intake the entire series of One Piece in what is comparatively a short amount of time, considering the story has been in the process of being told for almost a quarter century. And so, during my time reading through the life's work of Eiichiro Oda, I've noticed a considerable amount of pattern in how he likes to write, but also his approaches to drawing manga has changed too over his career. And I think Whole Cake Island helped me get a firmer grip on what it is I love about One Piece categorically, and what it is that frustrated me about it too. Now, I want to preface this by saying that I still love this story, and I think it ranks up there as one of the best One Piece sections easily. And while I think it's somewhat funny that Whole Cake Island, being one of my personal favorites in the series, is also one that helped me see what I think is a flaw. And so in this video, I will explain why this wonderful arc helped me put my finger on what it is about One Piece that might have prevented it from, in my humble opinion, being even better. However, before I get into
I don't see
Panel layout clarity.
Yes, of course. But I'm just saying, it took him almost 900 chapters before he just like, now I see what it is.
It might
What's
be
the
that
diggy?
It might be that it's a lot more
Pronounced in this arc.
A lot more packed in. There's a lot more detail and stuff going on around the area as opposed to before, like with CP9. You know, you just got a brick building. There's not a lot happening. It might not be that dusty and stuff.
We'll see.
Anything regarding my opinions, I should also say that I've been exposed to very limited amounts of the anime's material outside of a few clips my friends have handpicked to share with me for the purpose of this review. So all of my opinions have been formulated from my exposure with the manga exclusively. Now, I understand what it feels like to hear things that you might not necessarily want to hear or agree with. In addition to that, to smooth over the very small amount of negativity I have in this video, I have supplied my editor with plenty of pictures of my new 10-week-old puppy called Teddy to feature in this video anytime I criticize this wonderful story. So, let's get all the great stuff out of the way first. One of the very first things that stood out to me as interesting about this arc as I was reading was how it was structured. Unlike the vast majority of One Piece's stories that are tied together by one establishing main plot thread that holds the focus from beginning to the finish, this story can be
Okay, I'm sorry. We might need to stop. This dude is I'm not absorbing the information. My God, he's just talking. He is just talking.
Instead of a story being a story, it's not a story because it's the story. Yeah, we don't really need to understand what he said right there because it really doesn't matter.
Focus from beginning to the finish, this story can be perfectly split into two distinct parts that my friends thankfully advised me to cover in separate videos. Obviously, the crew leave with the objective of meeting up with and taking back Sanji, but by the time my last review ended, the motivation for the Straw Hats had changed completely due to the events of that story. This not only felt like a natural extension of it, but also helped with the pacing tremendously. We don't have to get through almost 80 chapters of story to get Sanji back on the squad. That mission objective is achieved not even halfway through, with the first half also laying the groundwork in characters like Big Mom's Hunger Pangs, Pudding's...
How long was it between Robin leaving and us getting Robin back?
Dude, it had to be like 60-something chapters.
It had to be. What does it matter if it takes 80 chapters before he gets back on the ship, reunited and cool with everybody? What does it matter? It's a story. Read the story.
Whatever the story needs to do, that's what it's gonna do.
Yeah. Straw Hats were separated for some 2 arcs.
I have a feeling this is the reason people voted for this video. This part right here, the flaw. I have a feeling that they just wanted us to get to this specific part of it.
Why not just have it just be part 2 then?
Yeah, we're not going to get all the nuance if we do that. No, don't roll your eyes. Words.
Okay, so why didn't they do Romance Dawn through Whole Cake? People would have voted for it. You know it.
People would have voted for it. You people.
Oh, boy, I would have falsified them votes so you disqualified it.
Oh, sorry, guys. I don't know what happened, but that can't be used anymore. You're talking about you falsified. I just would have changed it.
And the wedding ceremony proper, to name but a few that play pivotal roles in the second half of this tale. Constantly, in the second half, it feels like we're going from one major moment to the next, full of interesting opportunities for these characters to participate in and interact with 2 clear standout scenes early on, coming from Luffy's meeting with Beji, that contained a few pages a little more explicit than I'm comfortable with while sitting around my fiance, and of course the big moment that was established in the prior arcs of the story, the wedding of Sanji and Pudding. That, by the way, something funny that I noticed, on the cover of volume 86, we get a nice image of Pudding and Sanji about to be wed. Note the eye contact and height difference. Now, if you skip to chapter 862, you'll find that corresponding artwork for this volume itself, with Sanji, instead of looking into her eyes like the cover, it looks like he's looking at her boobs. Even in moments of extreme stress, he's unable to restrain himself. Classic. But again, this second half of the story feels like it could be categorized as its own arc, in the same way that Water 7 and Enies Lobby were part of the same story thread. I understand One Piece likes to name its arcs by the name of islands visited, but I mean...
So, wait, in what way could it be its own arc? This isn't the rescue Sanji.
Enies Lobby, quote unquote, is different than Water 7.
But this isn't the rescue Sanji arc. This is the Whole Cake Island arc. They have a mission to get the Road Poneglyphs.
Yeah, there's more than just Sanji there.
Yeah, it's multiple things, and it's not comparable to Water 7 and Enies Lobby, because they go to a whole separate location. They are still
on top of that. I'm sorry to cut you off. On top of that, when they got to Water 7, the point was to fix Mary. That was the only reason to be there. And then when they got to Enies Lobby, the only reason to be there is to get Robin back. So even the motivations of the 2 islands, even if it's the same thing, is different stuff. Now I understand the motivations of the Straw Hats here are different because they already have the Poneglyph, they already have Sanji, and now things are shifting. But there's still the problem of Zeph and Sanji's hands, so they can't just leave. So they do have to go through with it to a certain extent, no matter what.
They could have called it Cacao Island or something, I don't know. The meeting with Beji is honestly mostly for exposition and a bit of humor, with large amounts of the appeal coming from Luffy's interactions with Beji himself and Caesar, who finds himself in Capone's possession, which, as it happens...
That was on purpose.
Okay, but what was all the Yanji stuff?
That was not on purpose.
Okay. So I wonder if he did it here to make it seem like that Yanji stuff was always on purpose.
Or it's a big meme in the community that's just like, who the f is Caesar Clown? This is Gangster Gastino.
No, I understand that part of the meme. I'm saying, did he do the meme to cover up his actual mistake of the last one?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think it might just be that enough people commented in the comments, and then he was just like, "Hey, let's just make a joke out of it."
Which, as it happens, is a good thing because he ends up playing a vital role once again in the arc early concerning the plan to crash Sanji's wedding and to foil their plans. However, what I thought was interesting concerning this portion of the story is that Luffy indirectly becomes involved in a plan to assassinate Big Mom. Now, that plan does involve aspects of the Big Mom character we weren't privy to prior to this plan coming to light, and so it feels more like exposition rather than the reveal of the plan first and foremost. A significant amount of focus regarding this plan concerns the picture frame Big Mom cherishes that acts also as the impetus for one of the only flashbacks proper in this part of the story. Personally, I didn't anticipate
Flashbacks proper. The Pedro one didn't count, I guess.
Sanji one didn't count.
I guess.
What's an improper flashback?
Whatever it is this isn't it. This is proper. This is proper flashback. The only one.
I don't know if he said the only one. One of the only, maybe?
plan concerns the picture frame Big Mom cherishes that acts also as the impetus for one of the only flashbacks proper in this part of the story.
Okay,
One
so
of the only flashbacks
he's
proper.
basically just saying one of the only flashbacks. I don't know why he threw proper in there, but he's just saying it's one of the only flashbacks.
There's 3 flashbacks in this arc.
Yep, and it's one of the onlys.
As well as Katakuri's.
Oh yeah, and Brûlé.
As well as Chiffon.
I was thinking that, but I was trying to remember what happened. Oh yeah, nope, you're right. As well as Pudding. But Pudding was more like a revelation of what she was thinking during the times that were actually in the present, as opposed to a flashback proper.
A backstory, but now that we have one, I suppose I did enjoy certain parts from it. And after
Certain
all,
parts.
Whoa, let me hear this again.
I think that Big Mom required a backstory.
So the main villain of the arc, Yonko, one of the strongest pirates in the world, does not require a backstory.
The only flashbacks proper in this part of the story. Personally, I didn't anticipate nor think that Big Mom required a backstory, but now that
Why
we
does she not require a backstory? If she doesn't require a backstory, she's just a wall. Kaido is gonna be made better in my eyes by having a backstory. I don't think that the backstory, it's not like the backstory itself will be good and that will elevate him. It'll have us knowing more about the character, where he came from, blah, blah, blah. This is very important. It tells you so much.
We might even get Yamato's mom.
Hopefully. But it tells you a lot about the kid. We don't need a backstory in Don Krieg.
Yeah.
But for one of the strongest pirates, we have to figure out, why is she like this? What is up with the candy trees and the singing apples? We need to figure that out. And if we don't really require it. Well, do we require anything at that point?
Do we require Dofi's backstory? We got laws. Why do we need Dofi's? Why do we require anything? Why do we require a little bit of Rob Lucci's? Get that out of here.
Why is it not required? Why would you think that we wouldn't get this? As she's one of the strongest in the world.
She's one of the most important pirates on the sea.
The only female Yonko. She's nuts out of her mind. She has an established dream. Why does she have that dream? Well, I guess we won't really know about that because it isn't required. Or I didn't think that we were going to get her backstory for her.
I think she has the second highest bounty of the current Yonko, too. Because I think it was Kaido and Whitebeard were the same, but Whitebeard died. And
I thought Whitebeard was way bigger.
I don't think Kaido's... maybe Kaido's eventually became...
Blackbeard, 2.2. Big Mom, 4.3. Shanks, 4 flat. Kaido, 4.6. Whitebeard, 5 flat. Gold Roger, 5.5.
So, of the current Yonko, she has the second highest bounty.
Obviously, we don't need information not known at that point.
Yeah, but no, why do we don't need a backstory? We don't require a backstory for her?
One.
I mean, I don't think a backstory is gonna change like Crocodile.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot going on there with Ivankov, and there was one scene.
Whitebeard himself.
In Odin's flashback when they showed Roger getting executed, they were showing a bunch of people. Here's Doflamingo. They showed Crocodile, but they didn't show his face. There's something there. People were just like, "Oh, he was a woman before," and it was just like, that could make sense. But what would that really do for like the story or his character? Is he gonna rock up again? And like, where's that gonna play into anything? But there's something there with
Ivankov too.
Yeah, the Ivankov thing is what a lot of people are saying. But it's not. Yeah, like you said, it's not really required. We got everything that we need to know about Crocodile based upon his actions.
Ivankov could just be like, "Yeah, Crocky Boy was a woman once," and that could be it.
So again, like, what is required?
Or think that Big Mom required a backstory, but now that we have one, I suppose I did enjoy certain parts from it. And after all, Whitebeard got one too. And the sections that I really enjoyed were those that explored Elbaf for the very first time. This was a place that we had heard about during Little Garden and is now a place we've finally seen, albeit in the distant past. There's also this rather gruesome scene, or at least I think it's gruesome scene, where we see a young Big Mom devour a cake, but also her entire group of friends and Mother Carmel. I appreciate in some respect.
So, exactly. You say you think that is gruesome, but what do you think happened there so that Big Mom got her devil fruit? Why do you think that it is gruesome? There's nothing to think about. It happened. Big Mom ate a lot of people.
A lot of people, dude.
She was the original user of the soul. So later, this power manifested in Big Mom because she munched her. This is implied, but fans debate about other interpretations. There is no other interpretation.
Who's debating?
What is there other than that?
Her.
It turned into a fruit that is on the Krakenbush. She ate that fruit. She got the power. What else could happen? What other interpretation is there? Fans, Mark. Here's the situation. She's eating a lot of stuff in her mania. In the manga, there's a little panel of a screaming sound effect.
Yep.
All the people are gone. The table is eaten. There's a bunch of clothing and small pieces of the children. Not small pieces of children, like teddy bears and stuff all around. Big Mother Caramel is gone. Big Mom now has her fruit. What other interpretations is there?
She was knocked out. Somebody assassinated moms, fed Big Mom the food, and then took the children away forever?
How is she knocked out? Who knocked her out? How did they knock her out if the king of the strongest giants can't do it? What is the situation other than she ate all them muffins? And who's stopping her? Because she's Big Mom.
This?
What's the interpretation outside of that? You looking it up?
Yeah, I'm trying to see. Theory, Big Mom, how she got her power. How did Big Mom get her devil fruit? Any guesses? By eating caramel, by eating a devil fruit. Are you sure? I always thought she ate Mother Caramel. Maybe her body is different, which allows her to gain the power of the person she ate. Best thing about this is that Oda is hinting towards eating someone. However, it is never exactly explained or shown. So a few things could have happened that have nothing to do with someone eating a devil fruit. If we know Oda, he might just turn it all around. Nope, you're not giving an explanation. You're just saying other things could have happened. For those saying it's only implied that she ate, it's the only logical explanation and has been confirmed. But the fruit was eaten by Mother Caramel. Yeah, it's just a bunch of people going, yeah, she ate her.
This is a really bad one. Mm-hmm. In the past, I theorized that Big Mom didn't eat Caramel and the children, that something else happened off stream, possibly involving the CP0. My guess is they tried to kidnap Lin Lin because they didn't want to pay, but something went wrong my main point is the power transfer is too shabby. Who says that you get some power if you eat them? And there's also wasn't any fruit amongst the similar, so Big Mom didn't eat the regenerated fruit.
That's terrible. Oh, the theory is that you don't have to eat the whole person, just their heart.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that eat the heart thing. And it makes sense because in Whitebeard had a whole hole blown through him, so Blackbeard could just sort of reach in and oh, there it is.
Yeah, no. Most of this stuff is just she ate people. Yeah, I don't know what the debate is. She ate her.
Yeah.
Like, cannibalism. Like, we all their devil fruit would appear somewhere in the world, but there are 2 cases so far that someone got the I think if you want to Big Mom, she ate Mother Carol. Yeah. Ate her. Okay. About Big Mom she either got it by eating her alive, or maybe the power was transferred to a fruit nearby, and they did stay on that island for quite a while. It's probably she ate it. No, come on, dude. She ate her.
That's what else is there?
Yeah, I don't know what the debate is. Like, she ate her. Everything's gone, dude.
Everything. The table.
I don't know what any other interpretation could be. And if Oda says it wasn't through eating, I don't think that's going to be good.
Yeah.
Because it's so logical.
All signs point to that. Like, what else could it be?
Appreciate in some respects the painting Oda is trying to capture for us in this flashback. An orphan that was never understood and always put down. It's clear that Big Mom is misguided and began with the best of intentions, but when we flash forward to the present and see Big Mom hacking and slashing her way through town after town after town, presumably killing people, including her own children, by the way, I'm not sure if that flashback could be as effective for me, considering the heinous acts she's continuing to perform, even when not under the
It's not to sympathize with her. It's to understand her actions. She
Understand
wants
why
love.
she
She
wants
wants
that
family.
family.
These are her motivating goals. She's going through it all wrong because she's always been strong. She's always gotten exactly what she wants. So you go, hey, go over there and get the bananas for the cake. Just get it. Kill him if you have to. Because she doesn't care. Why should she care? She always gets what she wants. She's willing to raise an entire town for candy's sake. This is for no reason other than just go, okay, now I understand why all the candy trees and all that crap is there. Because she is insane. Why is she insane? She's been abandoned for all of her life. She's been feared for all of her life. And the one time that she was neither, they abandoned her and she doesn't know why.
But she actually ate them.
In theory. And now she's just like, I want my family to be all around me for all times. I want a whole giant family so we can all look at each other and we can all be eye level and nobody's a freak and everybody is an equal. You don't have to sympathize. Oh no, Big Mom's sad because she lost her mom who was a enslaver. No. It's simply to understand why she's doing this stuff. And I completely understand why she's doing this stuff. And I love it so much because she is an insane baby lady. And it makes sense that she is.
You can understand something without agreeing with it. You can understand why somebody would kill someone in self-defense, even if you don't agree with the action itself.
Of her hunger pang. Now I do appreciate that it stands to make her a slightly more
You've said appreciate twice.
He started off with nuance. It makes her a slightly more pause. He's going into nuance.
That it stands to make her a slightly more nuanced and perhaps a more interesting character.
And perhaps a more interesting character.
Perhaps.
He sucks. He sucks.
Knowing why she's like this perhaps makes her more interesting.
Who's rocking with
One
Mark?
of the first things that we saw on Whole Cake Island with Big Mom was her rampaging because she didn't get her Croquembouche. So much so that she was destroying her own island and making her people fear her.
D.
Why is she like that? Well, maybe because it's her favorite food that she has a very strong memory attached to it. There's it.
What? Okay, once they bring up the picture, are we just gonna go, oh, that was her adopted mother?
Moving on.
Moving on.
I guess she's important to her.
That's what you wanted, Mark? Like,
Hey,
you didn't expect a pass?
Where is he? Where is she? I understand that she's an old lady in that picture, but where exactly is? How long ago was this picture taken? Was that her actual mother or her adopted mother? Oh, she ate her.
And that's just the long and short of it. That just ends all discussion. Hey, what happened? Oh, she ate her.
Oh, she ate her.
What?
The if we were all judged on our worst day, then how good would any of us be sort of approach. But if your character has more bad days than one can count and is a literal tyrant, it falls short in making me gain sympathy for her in a lot of respects.
No.
Dude, you are not understanding.
Not at all. Are all backstories only for the purpose of gaining sympathy?
Did you sympathize with Doflamingo, or did you understand more his madness and dislike him more because he was a piece of His father was the good one talking about, let's leave the celestial dragon and just be good people. And Doflamingo's like, hey, this is my birthright. I hate you, father. Die.
They were strung up and shot with a bunch of arrows.
And he wasn't like, please forgive me. We didn't want this. He said, no, one day I will kill you all.
Make no mistake, this is happening. Like,
you're not supposed to sympathize with them.
Not at all.
Understanding.
Big difference.
That's what Oda wanted to do. He might not have.
It's not!
All this analyzing that you're doing and you can't see that when it's so very clear?
Hotly anticipated scenes from this portion of the arc for me was the doomed wedding of Sanji and Pudding, which totally lived up to the hype for me, by the way. Despite it acting as an assassin.
Why? Your own hype? I don't know what hype you mean.
Both Big Mom's forces and Beji, it has an enjoyable amount of sustained tension with the countdown to the moment it all goes down on. It has some striking visuals, as I mentioned, a crazy backstory, and more than enough comedy to add some variety to stop the occasion from getting a little too straightforward. And the best part is that, like most plans made in One Piece, they don't go according to plan. Because, let's be honest, that'd be boring, and I think it'd have...
Plans going according to plans would be boring. No, it wouldn't, Mark. That doesn't mean... Was Death Note boring?
It was a sequence of plans going exactly as they wanted in the end. There was a couple of them where it didn't, but a lot of them did.
It was just going against each other over and over and over again until the plan went exactly as planned with L dying, which was fantastic. It was such a good ending to the series. I'm glad nothing else happened.
But what about all the other stuff that
happened? You mean the flash forward where Kira just ruled the world? Yeah, I remember that. It was good. It was a good little epilogue afterthought, you know. You know, the special one shot where it was just like, hey, Kira's still ruling the world, y'all. We used to more L, and then Kira started killing us.
2 people.
He stopped them. Stopped who? L? That was Kira. Kira stopped L. What are you talking about?
Boy, that big stonker.
Hey, you want to know how bad that one was? What was the name of Kira's apprentice?
Well, I was thinking that. I could not remember. It begins with an M. It might begin with an M.
Looking it up. Because, stinky. Well, I guess I gotta look it up too. Your Google foo is weak.
Oh, there he is. Oh, no, there he is. There he isn't. Mikami.
What?
Mikami. Teru Mikami.
Mikami, maybe?
Mikami. Or either one. Doesn't really matter. It's pronunciation.
Wow,
Fix it in post.
I
told you it began with an M, though. I told you.
Wait, what was his first name?
Teru.
Okay, I'll remember that from Teru.
I told you. I got that secret knowledge.
Of the first letter of
yes.
one of his names?
Yes, and I wasn't even all that sure about it.
It's not secret knowledge, it's common knowledge.
No, it's not.
From the get-go, not only did it make for a much more interesting and fleshed out occasion.
Oh my
God,
and
dude.
did he say fleshed out? I'm
Yes.
pretty sure he did.
What is this man?
A YouTube analyst and the best one.
The wedding itself, but it also served to create a set of circumstances afterwards that produced one of the single best fight scenes I've seen.
Best, one of the best, one of the most, best, most, one of. Jesus, enough with this.
Single best fight scenes I've seen in this series, as well as the foundations for a structure that I found to be both easy to understand and exciting. And there are numerous highlights from this wedding, from the tense build-up to the planned enactment to the sweet and tender moments shared by Sanji and Pudding. And of course, the hundreds of Luffys exploding out of the wedding cake, destroying it, which, as funny as it was, turns out to be one of the main missteps in this arc because Big Mom, she be wanting some wedding cake and she's going to be saying that a lot from this point on. Something else I thought was worth mentioning was something a friend of mine pointed out to me once I encountered Pudding in the story. Apparently, she was featured in chapter 651. That is hundreds of chapters ago, which again reinforces the notion that Oda is an absolute lunatic when it comes to foreshadowing events in his story. And while we're on the topic of Pudding, I have to say,
what a great image.
It's really good.
Really surprised me as a character. While I wasn't super interested in her goody two-shoes persona that was presented to us early on, once it was revealed that...
Why not?
What's wrong with a goody two-shoes? What's wrong with just a nice person trying to help people? Strangers to her. What's wrong with that?
Hey, we both just got to go through this, but...
If you don't want to, I'll try to stop it as best as I can. I can talk to my mom. Oh, that's not happening, so we just got to go through with it.
It's okay.
What's wrong with that?
We'll make it work.
What's wrong with just a nice person?
Especially in this group of just completely unnice people. Just monsters, just sucking souls and slashing guards.
Now you just go, oh, now we got some kind of pull with Big Mom because her daughter doesn't really want to go through this either.
She was just evil the entire time. I wasn't really expecting anything too interesting to come from her thereafter. But boy, was I wrong. Once she legitimately starts to fall for Sanji after he calls her third eye beautiful, the mental gymnastics this woman performs in order to attempt to speak and rationalize with was one of the funniest and most charming parts of this arc for me. With her also playing a pivotal role on the side of good within this part of the story, she's easily one of my favorite characters introduced in any of the islands we've visited since the beginning.
I love her interactions with Sanji after the wedding. It's
really good.
So good.
It's quite
I
good.
go back and I just read those chapters just to see them.
Something that also came to my attention during my time reading this was how strange it must have felt reading week to week for a lot of people. Being exposed to only one half of the Straw Hat crew at any given time, splitting them up in Dressrosa and once again in Whole Cake, I'm aware that I'm in a rather unique position where I can dedicate half of this year to catching up on this series, and as a result, I bulldozed through it. I was only reading the start of Dressrosa a few weeks ago, but for some of you watching this, you must have gone years without seeing some of these characters you've grown up with, and I wonder what that must have been like. In saying that, I thought Punk Hazard's...
One Piece is so good that even though I love Usopp, I was getting good stuff on the screen, so I wasn't mad that I wasn't getting Usopp or upset that I wasn't getting Usopp. I was still getting good stuff that I really liked. Whole Cake is top 5 arc, and it has no Usopp.
The stuff that I did get was good, so it's just like, yep, I don't get Usopp, but I'm enjoying this stuff. It works out like that.
I mean, the sun is beaming directly on my PS5.
Oh man.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, it is what it is. If I'm enjoying it, it's not like, okay, I guess I don't really need to see Usopp and Frankie interact if I'm enjoying this stuff.
Yeah.
It's nothing.
Too many characters, and I definitely think splitting the crew into a more focused group was a good idea. But I bet there were a lot of you out there that were during this...
Wait, hold on. I want to go back to the too many characters thing.
seeing some of these characters you've grown up with, and I wonder what that must have been like. In saying that, I thought Punk Hazard suffered from having too many characters, and I definitely...
Punk Hazard? Too many characters?
If he says so. We don't have his argument for that.
I can't.
was a good idea. But I bet there were a lot of you out there that were, during this time, missing Zoro for the 2 years Oda spent on Whole Cake.
No, I love Zoro, but I'm loving him less and less these days, but, you know, it is what it is.
I suppose I'll get an idea of what that might be like as I get caught up to this series later this year. Back to the wedding, however, there's a rather awesome set of circumstances that Sanji shares with his family, and more specifically, his father, who, when faced with the truth of the occasion, breaks down into tears, a broken man.
What's wrong with you children? Don't you understand we're about to die? Haha, that's pretty funny.
Yeah, boy, that sucks.
You monster!
You betray us! Oh, they did betray us, huh? Well, that sucks for us, huh?
Sanji's relationship with his father and brothers doesn't come to the forefront again after the first half of this arc. It gets a bunch of noteworthy instances where either Sanji is a hero for wanting to save his family, where they actively provide Sanji and the Straw Hats cover in trying to escape the wedding, and later on in the high seas within Big Mom's territory. But most importantly to me was the decision Oda made to not have Sanji forgive his father, for them not to make amends, and for him to stay firmly in the corner of Zeph.
Why would he forgive him? What did Judge do to earn forgiveness? He never said he was sorry. He's clearly not sorry, even though he saved him. What, you like, oh boy, I treated you all wrong all these years because you just saved us? No, that's not a revelation. You're just thankful that he saved him, and maybe your opinion of him goes up, but all in all, Sanji's still a piece in your eyes. There is nothing that tells us that Judge should have been forgiven.
Firmly in the corner of Zeph. These are incredibly complicated emotions to be explored as a piece of side dressing in this arc, and I thought it was both hugely enjoyable and fit perfectly in that position. The clear highlight, however, from this wedding for me was the scene where Jinbe officially resigns his allegiance.
Of course it is.
That's the highlight of all the wedding.
Including Brook breaking in picture. Including Brook going, Brook, I thought you died. I did. A long time ago.
Big Mom. On top of it already having...
This is why people wanted us to... Part 2, because I kept hearing Part 2, y'all.
Terrific tension due to the risk factors involved with asking this of Big Mom. What's interesting actually about this is that we get a greater insight into how Big Mom's powers actually work. And that is, they only work if you're scared. And because
they already stated that with their kid.
Jinbe doesn't fear her, he gets one of the most badass lines I've heard, certainly from his character, and maybe even the entire series. As he hands back his sake cup, he says, "A man who will become a crewmate to the future king of the pirates cannot afford to tremble in the face of a mere emperor." Woo!
Gonna need a sensu for that one.
Despite the rest of this wedding aftermath contributing hugely...
Stop shaking your head. Stop shaking your head.
And he just goes, yeah, that was awesome.
And it was one of his favorite parts of the entire wedding.
Just because it was awesome. Knowing all that Big Mom has done, what she can do, and what she will do in the future, Jinbe has not a single ounce of fear, such that not a single ounce of his soul leaks out. I do not believe this based upon what we have seen from Jinbe. Nothing tells me that he should have zero fear.
Like, did he not have fear when he was helping rescue his crew, his old crew? Did Big Mom take no soul from him then? Like,
nothing tells me that he should believe that Luffy has a chance against Big Mom, such that he has zero fear right now.
And on top of that, when he was first given his choice, why did he not fear then? Because he was like, no, I'm not going to take that deal. I'll stay on your crew. Because he was like, there's something fishy about that.
So does he also not have fear for Fishman Island? Does he not fear Big Mom's retaliation, as the Straw Hats are naught but 9 people to his knowledge? And they have no way of protecting Fishman Island? He has no fear about that either. these are the things that we must accept in order for that moment to be awesome. And these are the things I do not like about Jinbe.
To my enjoyment of the arc, the rest of the story is where I think it shines brightest. Certainly in the chase scene section that promotes a ton of interesting offensive and defensive techniques in tandem with a plot thread that splinters in the most fun way I could think of. And while I think the emotional highs were observed in the first half of the story that I covered last week, the tension and the action is at its highest in this part, thankfully. One of the reasons I love...
Okay, that's good enough.
Tapping.
Yep.
No. All right.
Yeah.
Yep, tapping. That's it for this video forever. We got it.
We still haven't even gotten to his flaw. He sucks.
I think we did.
What was the flaw?
Oh, no. We didn't get to that flaw.
Mm-mm.
He just talked about how Big Mom was just kind of okay with her past.
Yep.
He mentioned it for like 2 sentences. Oh, my goodness gracious. Enough of this dude. 26 minutes next time.